Welcome back. I thought today I'd just show you what I've been doing in what I call my blue sea sketchbook. I started this a few days ago. I've got so many blues in my box of paints that I thought actually, I always seem to use the same blue, so I thought I'd get out 6 of what I think could be my favourite blues. So to start with, I did 3 swatches, not swatches, not watches, swatches. And just using, start me off on this first page, Prussian blue. Prussian blue is a beautiful colour, I think, for the sea. And this is a Winsor & Newton Galleria acrylic, series 1. So I've started off with that, done a little swatch. It's quite bluey green actually, this one, which I like for the paintings that I like to do down on the coast when I'm out walking. So this is purely one colour paint, monochrome, with just a tiny touch of white here and there. What I'm trying to do also is make a little sketchbook just to remind me sometimes when I'm painting of what I'm trying to achieve with certain, well, most paintings actually. So what I wrote down on this is what I wrote first. So I wrote down my colour, Prussian blue and white, and I was trying to capture the atmosphere. So that's one of the things that I wrote down. Always trying to catch the atmosphere when I'm out and about. Try to capture that in whatever I'm drawing or painting. And to give it a bit more life, I actually like to put something like birds in it in the distance there. Just makes, you know, the living thing, nature at its best. And the sea, what I was trying to achieve is pattern, which I also wrote down here. Patterns, texture, power. These are the things that I kind of like to try and remember to put into my paintings. So just going back over there, the atmosphere. So it was a windy day, and what I thought was, I'll try and capture that wind. Obviously, the waves are pretty rough out there, to be honest, and the birds flying around. There is some pattern in the water as well, and texture. So hopefully I've captured a few things that I write down. And atmosphere. What I should do is write down here as well. Atmosphere. Atmosphere gives more meaning to your paintings, I think, if you can include a few things like this. Patterns. So I've got patterns going on here in the sky. Patterns here in the sea and the waves. Texture, trying to get a bit of texture in there too. And the power, trying to capture the power of those waves. You know, even though this is the sky, there's a little bit of power in there. These waves coming, crashing over each other. I think that's what I was trying to do there. A little bit of texture at the bottom. So that colour is ultramarine. Just one colour, ultramarine, and a touch of white. On this next page, let's have a look. Don't know if you can see this. See if I can turn it around a little bit. I'll turn it around this way, maybe you see it a little bit better. So, trying to capture the power of the sea, a little bit of texture. So I was using a variety of materials. I was using my little palette knife, my brushes, and just always a little bit of tissue, and dab a bit of colour out. It gives a little bit more pattern to what I'm trying to do here. So pattern, texture, atmosphere again. Cerulean blue this is. It's not my favourite colour for the ocean, but it can be useful. I'm not saying I never use it, but it can be useful. I can use a combination of things. Also with a variety of materials, still using just one colour plus a white. So with white, for instance, I could, let me see if I can show you with this one, I can bring this over just to show what's going on here with the waves. Maybe just a bit of frothiness going on down here in the bottom. So that's a different medium, but the same, basically one colour. I don't call white a colour, it's a tone, or it's a tint, it tints. Black and white you can use. Of course it tints your colour that you're using. So that's a Pentel oil pastel. So this is cerulean blue acrylic paint, and this is a pastel. So I could just lighten across the horizon there a little bit. Just very lightly, the oil pastel is just hitting the paper surface here and there. So giving a nice sort of texture actually. Yes, that's giving a nice, I'm hardly pushing it onto the paper, but it just gives texture to what's already down. So that's that one. I've got which way I'm going round now. Let's put it back here. Oh yes, actually I think I better turn this around just so as you can see it better. This is cobalt blue, which is a favourite colour of mine, but not really for the sea. To me it's too blue, but it's very nice. Cobalt blue is very nice to use in cloud formations. I like to use cobalt with white, with a lot of white. It gives that nice sky colour, which is further down at the bottom there. So here I was just concentrating on patterns. I put the paint on quite thick. I put it on with a brush, and then with the palette knife I was scratching out to make some pattern and to give some texture as well on that side, a little bit of texture. Again, I could put some more white into it, bringing it across and over. Make it look a bit more wave-like. I could go on and on with this, continue working into it, but these are just little exercises to remind me again. I think here is where I closed the book up before it was properly dry, but we can make it into a cloud. Little little accidents like that can often work in your favour. And that's giving it a little bit more texture as well, like that. Let's see what's on this side. Oh yes, let me turn this that way. Again, this was paint on one side. Unfortunately, it's happened again there. I get impatient and I close it up too quick and it's ripped the page. But it doesn't matter because, again, I can turn this into something. Now, this is Cyan Primary. It's of a cheaper brand of paint, but it's quite a good blue, actually. I think this is Royal and Lang Nickel. Royal and Lang Nickel acrylics. It's quite a cheap brand, but nevertheless, it's useful. So I can use this again, this Pentel oil pastel, which is very nice, and play around here, see what happens. See if I can, I can tear that bit off. Let's go like that. And here's a nice pattern. That I think I did with the end of this lovely little palette knife. I like this palette knife, it's very useful actually. I think I just did that basically and scraped the paint off. Yeah, quite like that. When it was quite thickly on the paint, on the paper there, I just closed it up, and so I've got a little monoprint going on here, on that side. And I quite like the fact that here, where I'd scratched out, it's made more of a pattern on that side. So yes, I like that. So I can do something with that later on. The other thing I like is this pattern here. I hope you can see it down here. I love that pattern. That actually, because I squished the paper together and it's like oozed out a bit and made this lovely textured pattern. I like that. Here I've just prepared, yes, I've just prepared these ready to go. Now this is with a very pale blue. No, that's not it, that's yellow. Wait a minute. Where is it? Ah, yes, it's a powder blue, actually, this one. Now, if I can find the powder blue in the pastels, what I'm quite trying to do is to match them up identical, which I can't. I don't think I can. No, there isn't such a thing, because actually powder blue is not a natural colour. It's actually made by Winsor & Newton. They've made this colour up. If I could read the writing, which I can't, it's so damn small. How am I supposed to read that? It probably will say what it's a mixture of. I can't read that writing, can you? It's ridiculous. Ridiculously small. I've even got my glasses on. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is this is a man-made colour. It's not a pure ultramarine. That's a pure colour. This is not a pure colour. It's been mixed up with pale blue, probably, maybe cobalt blue, and a lot of white. As you can see, it is a sky colour. But hey, that's good. I don't mind that. We could even use... I don't really want to, as I'm doing monochrome, I don't want to introduce any other colours. So what I might do is, I'll tell you what I'm going to do is squidge a bit of colour out. It's almost got a little tint of lilac. I'm going to say lilac in there. I'm going to use this. And let's have a go and see what we can do with this. So I'll start on just this little one here as a little demonstration. So I've got some paint going on the palette knife. What I'm going to do is make my horizon a third of the way down there. Take it across. There, like that. Then the next thing I'm going to do is put some white at the top. There is a tiny bit of white there. Let's have a go. Squidge a bit of white there. Here we are. And put it into the sky area. So thinking about the notes I made at the beginning, there's 4 little words I wrote down, 4 things that I try and add into my pictures rather than my paintings. So the first one is atmosphere. When I say atmosphere, what I mean is what sort of a day is it? So I'm making this up as I go along today because I'm indoors painting, it's horrible out. So what I'm going to do is, I imagine it's a nice, because it's horrible out, it's a lovely summer's day. There's hardly any cloud in the sky. I'll just put a tiny touch in just to remind me that that is the sky. Let's do that. It's a lovely, lovely summer's day. And I'm on the beach and there's no breeze. So the water is calm and inviting. I just put a little bit of white down here just to indicate the sea. I'm going to add a little bit of pattern. Remember, I put pattern as one of the key elements I want to put in my paintings. So we've got atmosphere, pattern, and the next one was texture. So let's put some texture into it. I could just make some marks like that. That would give a little bit of texture. The tide's coming in. So there's a little bit of a wave, not much because it's a calm day. But as it hits the shore, it's just beginning to break up at the shoreline here. This is where imagination comes in. And imagine running in and out of these little waves that's been made as it hits the sand. I won't put too much texture in because, as I say, it's my imaginary calm day and an inviting sea. Now what I'm going to do is this, just to add a little bit more texture. I like to do that. Also, you can get a little bit more texture if you scrunch up a little piece of, in this case it's kitchen roll. I've always got the kitchen roll here, and then just dab away at it like that. Get a little bit of texture. Can you see the little textured waves there? There we are. So that's my calm day. There we are. I don't know if I can make these later on into rough, more atmospheric. I'm not sure. Not with this powder blue, I don't think. What I can do is use the powder blue. I'll just get rid of what's on my palette knife. Actually, by doing that, can you see what's happened there? It's given a little bit of texture. Quite like that. As I say, accidents, maybe just add a tiny bit more white into it. Accidents, accidents can work in your favour. You can make, there you are, just playing around with that. Just rubbing that, just giving a nice little textured bit there. I like that. Stretch it out a bit more. Can imagine like some nice foamy surf down here. Anyway, I hope I've inspired you to have a little look when you go down to the coast. Have a look for all those things, the power, the atmosphere, the texture. All these are about mark making and making up a painting. And of course, imagination too. I use that a lot in my paintings. Thank you for watching. If you've enjoyed this, please like, share and subscribe. And I hope to see you next time. Bye-bye.